Welcome back to another video, everybody. That's Jam. I'm Kenny, and this week I think we're going to jump right into it with today's topic, which is going to be remakes. How do we feel about remakes, Jam?
I'm generally I don't think remakes should be a thing, but and we'll get into later on as to why I think they're becoming more and more popular. I think a lot of times people are sitting there going like, why does it feel like everything's being remade nowadays? But we have the recent release of The Crow, notoriously getting just destroyed by all the critics and all reviewers, YouTube reviewers.
Everybody,
You
man.
know,
It seems like everybody hates it.
yeah, or at the very least, it just is not. It's one of those even worse when it comes to remake is you watch it and you're like, why did they do this? You know what I mean? It was like almost like they didn't need to do it. I think there's certain criteria that kind of falls into when you should actually even think about doing a remake, and talked about alluded to it a little bit, but you have the streaming wars. I think is one big factor as to why you're seeing a lot of remakes in general, because people need to come out with content. They need content to bring value to their platforms, and then you're going to start seeing a lot of this stuff happening. It's
But
just a
this
lot easier.
but this one wasn't a streaming one. There's a few of the streaming ones that
Yeah,
I
but I
saw that
just
came
think
out
that
this year
that's
that bombed, but this one
I think
wasn't
that that's
one.
why I think that's why you're seeing a lot of them in these platforms, and a lot of them being made, which sometimes even affects the way that people view maybe even one that's made for the movies. That obviously that's not the case for this one. This one was just not a great movie. There might have been like one sequence in the film that was, as far as action, especially if you like kind of gory type of action, was pretty cool. But beyond that,
Like
it's one of those. It just kind of felt almost like lifeless.
from
Like
what
you
I've
didn't
yeah,
necessarily need to
from
do
what
it.
I've been reading, it's been that the movie is poorly written as well.
Yeah, I
And
mean
so I
that's
mean,
that's that's everything. Not
but I
everything,
mean
but
that's the weird thing because with such great source material, I mean, I don't know if maybe we're looking at the original Crow through like what's it called, rose-colored glasses because it was from our youth and stuff, and it was like popular at the time, or if it
there's a lot surrounding that movie.
right? Maybe I think part of it is the tragedy that happened on set is a bit romanticized, and it seems
Yeah, it
kind of
kind of
weird to
immortalizes.
say. Yeah,
It can add like a little bit of, maybe not like fully make them, but like it can add some of that mystique to the movie, and then kind of people uh uh remember it in a certain type of way because of some of these things. It kind of, we talked about a little bit the whole Heath Ledger thing, and him but
yeah,
I mean he just killed that role. And then
yeah.
it almost made it even more iconic and legendary because he passed. You know what I mean? It's kind of
Mm.
like those artists that come out with that great album, and then they pass, and then it kind of immortalizes them in a certain type of way. And I think The Crow probably had a little bit of that too, for sure. But even then, it's like I don't know if the vibe and the atmosphere of The Crow kind of lends itself to today's kind of like a modern retelling. You know what I mean? Like it had
Yeah,
in the '90s, that was kind of like the whole goth thing and all that was kind of big. It was kind of it was in.
yeah,
And
and
then nowadays it's just kind of weird.
it was very much romanticized because I knew goths and they're fucking dorks like everybody else.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
was like
I
super
think.
romanticized,
I mean,
but
they do that for vampires and everything too, don't they?
yeah, yeah, vampires are like fucking dorks too.
Or along the lines of goth.
Yeah,
They're more gothic than they are a regular person. But
yeah. Especially if you watch
it's like
movies
you
like
said,
Interview with the Vampire.
all the gothic people I knew were yeah. I mean, they were kind of they were nerds like everybody else.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't know.
those.
You see, I think it's that kind of thing where it's like when it's great, you love it. You're like, wow, yeah, they did it right. You know what I mean? But when it sucks, it's just like you're sitting there, and we're making videos like this. We're sitting there going like, should they even do this anymore? Why are they still doing this? Coming out with these remakes. I think, man, I don't know what
I'm
the actual criteria should be,
that's the next
but
fatigue, dude. In my opinion, that's gonna be the next fatigue, remake fatigue, because they're doing it. There was the Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead remake, which
I
was
didn't even know that existed.
no, oh dude, that's a movie I grew up watching. And here's the bad part. It was already wasn't a great movie. It was more like a kid like a coming of age kind of flick with a funny premise of the babysitter died.
Mm,
Um, and it was like a 6.3 on IMDb, and the
yeah.
remake was like a 3.5. So is it just like today's writing doesn't work? Because how do you
I
go
think they
from
just don't invest.
a
They,
6.3 isn't a great
yeah,
score. It's not a bad score, but it's not a great score. But then to remake a movie and not even like score close.
yeah. Well, I think when people read a script, I think they don't. They genuinely don't care how good the movie is. The people who are putting up the money for these movies, they just kind of like, or they don't, or you're getting a lot of people like that in these kind of positions that are making these decisions about what gets made and what doesn't, and they don't even know what a great movie is. You know what I mean? Like they don't. You just got the wrong people making the wrong decisions. And I feel like you would know when a script is great or when a film is coming together and it seems like it's going to be good, you know. And I'll bring up the example of Dune. You know what I mean? Dune was fucking incredible, and it's way better than the original.
Yeah,
And and then, but you have the right person, you know, who's actually, and you need somebody who is not just talented but dedicated to what they're, and you can tell when somebody, I gotta believe you can tell that Denis Villeneuve was,
bro.
adamant about, is just enthusiastic, or, you know, had the right mindset when he was coming about and trying to make this movie and pitching it to whoever to make it. And so, you have those kind of scenarios, but then you have other ones where it's just like, I think somebody like, we want to, I guess we're going to remake this, and let's just find somebody to write it. If it's already starting off like that, I mean, I gotta think, like, pretty much every time that's the scenario, it's probably not gonna be a good movie. Like, you can't just, like, if
If
there's
nobody
nobody who's
cares about the
creative out there
source
that,
material,
yeah, if there's nobody creative out there who's asking to make this movie, and you're like, that's the worst thing, is when I think you have these companies coming out and they're just telling these writers, "Write us a script for this movie and your version of it, and da 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 da." It's just not gonna work. It's just not gonna work, and especially when you got something that kind of, when you go back to, it has either a cult following or, that kind of fan base that, something like The Crow, you know what I mean? It's just,
yeah,
it's something, it's kind of disrespectful. You're like, don't even do
yeah.
it. Just
That
might as well
that's
don't
why I
even do
kind of
it.
asked, like, could it be because like we remember the movie in such a way that even if you rewatch it, you're gonna process it the same, you know? Because movies
No,
like this you've watched a couple times, but
no, no.
you don't think it's just straight up bad movies because
I
they're fucking
I
bad.
think they could make a good Crow remake. Yeah, I mean, it's been long enough. Although, The Crow is a very specific one where there's a whole, Brandon Lee part of it that is just, I don't know if you should even touch a movie like that. But I mean, I'll bring up another example. One of your favorite movies of all time, they remade The Craft. Did you even see the remake?
Oh no, I didn't watch it because I was like, well no, it's because it's not a remake though. It's a part two. They were gonna remake it, and the fans were
Is it a
like,
part
"Don't do
two?
that." It's a part two. It's a part
Even
two.
then, it's like
So
the
it's a
idea of like
sequel.
bringing it back.
Yeah, I'm sure it didn't work great. It
No,
was
because that was kind of like lightning in a bottle. And I'll throw this out there too. Ghostbusters. You're never ever gonna make it a Ghostbusters that's
that
as good as
was
the first
that
one.
was so strange. I mean, it was they weren't bad. The second one was kind of bad.
Yeah.
They weren't like horrible, but they didn't live up to the heart, I guess you could say, of the first movie. And I think we've
Yeah,
talked. I
because,
don't think this is not the first time we're talking about sequels
no,
or
no, no.
remakes. We brought this up before, but it was the Ghostbusters weren't bad, but they also weren't. It also wasn't the same movie that we first got with Ghostbusters 1 and 2 even.
Yeah, I mean, I think about Ghostbusters and I think about like those, that movie was just fucking cool. Like, it was
Yeah,
cool, and
it
it
was
was even,
fun.
and it was funny,
Anyway,
and
yeah,
it was funny too.
it
Like
was
the
hilarious.
original's got some bars, dude. The
Well,
original's got some great all time lines that you'll still see on T-shirts today. You know what
my
I mean?
favorite line is when they ask Peter when they're in jail and they ask Peter and he goes, "Is this true?" And Peter goes, "Yes, this man has no
This man has
penis."
no dick. Yes, man.
That was awesome. It was you don't hear shit
Yeah.
like that and it's hilarious.
Or how about Winston when he's talking to the mayor and he's like, "Sir, but since I've been working with these people, I have seen shit that would turn you white." And it's just,
Oh,
and it's
tell
like
him about the
the
Twinkie.
double, you know what I mean? It's just you've seen some crazy stuff and it
Yeah.
makes you lose your color or
I
whatever. But in his case, it has a whole nother meaning.
I
Like shit
think
like that is fucking genius.
I think the the Ghostbusters Lady remake felt more at heart like the original Ghostbusters, a bunch of dudes hanging out having fun. It felt
Yeah,
more like that, more like the original than the
the
part
newer
four
ones.
or five. What was it part 3, 4?
Yeah,
If
I mean the was it? I don't even know what, but the first of the recent reboot. You know, not Frozen Empire, but the one before that. That one, at least. I mean, honestly, I'm being very honest, it's not. It's an okay movie.
yeah,
Just the ending kind of makes up for it, especially the more diehard of a Ghostbusters fan you are. And then and it hits you right in the feels. That's like a diehard fan base, dude. Like that, and then they know what they're doing in the sense that like they know that merchandise is such a key part of that whole franchise, probably even more so than the movie. Is people want to get all the toys and get all this all the
the
stuff that comes with
props,
it,
the
the props.
replicas,
It's like
everything.
classic, and
Yeah,
kids will still probably love it today. But and you know, and that's why I honestly do think that that's why there's a big factor of the movie is kind of like this whole family center thing, but it kind of takes away from what made the original so great, and you're never going to get it to be as good as that. And you're right. I definitely think I agree with you. I think that the remake with Kristen Wiig and was probably closer to that, although it probably wasn't quite that. You know, we're not sitting
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Kristen Wiig is a legend. Is she going to be a legend? Melissa McCarthy probably
Oh,
same.
dude,
You know, and then even what's her name? The
Kate McKinnon,
uh, Kate McKinnon. Yeah,
and then and
and
Leslie. I forget Leslie's last name. It's because
yeah,
they
they
always call her just Leslie.
Jones, is it Jones?
Leslie
No,
Jones. There you go. But yeah,
yeah,
dude, I don't know. I
they're funny.
feel yeah, I
They're
feel
all like,
because they were funny, it was more in line with the original than the sequels.
and what I mean by they're funny, it's like they actually are in those roles. They're funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, and sometimes not that's not always the case when it comes to movies. But you know, like maybe they're funny Saturday Night Live, or you know they have these characters, but then you do a movie role and it's like yeah some funny lines, but they're legitimately they got some their camaraderie in that. I mean, I honestly thought it was a decent movie, but you have that whole backlash that kind of just marred the whole release and all that. It was
it was
I don't know.
dumb,
You
but
know,
it was
we're ripping on Ghostbusters,
it
but
was
it's
incels
like
on the internet. Um,
yeah, let's
you want
just
to know
yeah.
another one that I felt really sad that I thought was gonna be good was the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. I was so excited for it. The
Yeah, I
what?
mean it's again another one that to me was like solid, but it wasn't necessarily like a bad movie because I've seen some bad like if you have ever heard of Flatliners and you saw the remake of
Oh
that,
yeah,
that's a bad movie. Like that's
the
just not
remake.
a good movie. Yeah, the remake. Like it was
Dude,
just
this
bad.
one, the Nightmare on Elm Street got a 14 from
Yeah, yeah. You're talking about the one
people.
with Jackie Earl Haley?
Yeah,
See, I thought he
dude,
was decent and
I think that
as
movie
and I
was
like the actor, dude. The
more
actor
the
is great.
writing. I think that movie was more the writing and how they
Yeah, it was
kind
coming out
of
of that was gonna say it's coming out of that era. You know that era of like Freddy versus Jason and all that shit.
yeah,
Like it was moving on from, it was getting a little bit more back to like serious business. But those movies were kind of like almost like spoofs of themselves, man. Like it was getting to a point. I'm not ashamed to say this, but in my time, like when I was in my high school years, the movies that were being made were shit.
bro.
Like
Freddy
they were
versus
not
Jason.
good movie.
Freddy versus Jason is at a 42.
Yeah. I see. There's no world where that movie's better than the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Like when I watch it,
I
it's almost like a joke of itself. You know what I mean?
I
And maybe from that
yeah.
end, if you don't take it serious. you might have a better appreciation for
I
it. But
would
I don't know what they
say
were trying to do.
I would say I do agree with the 40 with the 42. It wasn't in line really. It was more like a comedy. But
Right.
honestly, what killed the Jack Earl Haley one for me was the writing. They got kind of too creepy with it. Like they went past creepy into like, oh, this motherfucker should have been in jail.
I mean, he should have
Which
been.
yeah, but like
It's like we kind of
they
ignore
got
that
so into it that
in the
it
originals.
it made you uncomfortable in a way that I don't know. It didn't feel like a horror movie
It was a
at that
reimagining for
point.
sure.
Yeah, so it didn't feel the same. That's the thing for me.
Yeah, yeah. You're
And
used to
with
Freddy being like a certain type of you know,
like a creep.
yeah, he's like a creep, but he's just like it's like you might want to party with this guy. I don't know how to
Yeah,
explain
like
it. Like there's a certain
this.
funness to
Yeah,
him
yeah.
that, for lack of a better, you know, again, ignoring the fact that why he was even in that position and became what he became to begin with, which it didn't change from the remake to the from the original. Like the what he did was he because does he? I can't remember, man. Does he actually like do things to the kids before he actually kills them, or does he just
they
kill them?
never in the original they don't come out and straight up say it.
Yeah.
What they do is the girl goes, they were just telling us that you did this. So,
Hmm.
and then at one point, I think with the dad, it sort of comes out that they're like, well, we're not sure, but uh, one kid told us, and then you guys told us he was creepy. And it was this whole thing where, like, they fucked with these kids' memories so much with therapy and stuff that
Hmm.
they couldn't remember what really happened, I think. And
Right.
so, to me, it feels like the fact that he came back is because he didn't do it. It was like a revenge. And they're like, he's like, I just loved the kids. They were my friends and this and that. And that's sort of what
That's a
he
great
kind of.
way.
And then
That's a
he's
great
like,
concept.
yeah, right. And so he came back because of the revenge. And in the second one, I think like right off the bat, they're like, yeah, he's a fucking child diddler. We gotta fucking burn this man to the ground. The sheriff was in on it. And you're just sitting here like, holy crap, man. This
Yeah, it
is
got
crazy.
intense.
Yeah.
And then Dream Warriors was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then it's
That's
sort
the
of
coolest
pulled
one.
away from all of that because all the original kids were supposed to have been dead except like one or two. And I think in Dream Warrior, they kill the last chick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, Nancy.
Nancy dies.
Yeah, Nancy dies in
Nancy
that one.
dies. Per
Spoiler
Nancy.
alert. Not really, but still.
That movie's almost 40 years old, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will
Do,
say that about movies that came out like 4 years ago.
have you heard any rumors? We'll move on to this. The other one I wanted to talk about was The Mummy, dude. The Mummy was so bad with fucking Tom Cruise. But again, I think that one
Yeah.
was also the writing because it was kind of dope that he wasn't the Mummy and they sort of like got all weird with it. But I think that's
Well,
one
have
that
you
they
seen
shouldn't
the
have
movie?
retouched. Yeah,
A little spoiler alert, because he kind of does become the mummy, doesn't
well,
he?
that's why I didn't say that part. Because you see the chick and she did an awesome job. Um, what's her name? Sophia Butella.
Botella.
She
Yeah.
she was dope. Fucking Russell Crowe was dope. The concept was there. The execution was not.
Yeah, those are strange ones, man, because you could
Uh,
tell like they tried. They
yeah, they
definitely
were. Well,
tried,
I remember they were trying to
and it just
set
didn't
up
hit.
for a new universe. So this wasn't even going to be a
Yeah,
reboot
Monsters
of them.
universe.
It was supposed to be a Monsters universe. And you know what? I'm so glad that it bombed because I have a Monsters universe idea. But now it'll never get made because theirs bombed. Unless I'm
Yeah.
making myself. Um, have you heard of any remakes that are happening? Well, this will be the last part. Like, have you heard of any remakes that are like in the works or they're thinking about doing?
Mm.
You didn't
Oh,
say.
Anaconda.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We're talking. That's right. You said Anaconda with Jack Black and Paul
And Paul
Rudd.
Rudd.
We're
Yeah,
gonna
like
leave
it's
that
gonna
shit in.
be.
We're not editing that out because we totally. I don't know how we space on that, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. How do you think that one's gonna go?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like Anaconda's got its own thing, but if they make, they're not gonna it's one of those things where they're gonna make the story different enough to where it's like you're still gonna let the original be the original what it was, and then you're gonna try to come out with this one. I don't know. There was some. I mean, even the first one was kind of lightning in a bottle. You had Jennifer Lopez, on screen, lighting the screen on fire, right? You know what I mean? At that
Oh,
time in
with yeah,
particular, and then
she
you
was all
had
over the
uh,
place.
Ice Cube. Yeah, man, but like she was Jennifer Lopez, like in peak Jennifer peak
Yeah,
J Lo. You know what I mean?
yeah. It was before
This was
before what was that
post
movie?
Atlanta.
But
You know what I mean?
pre Ben Affleck,
Pre Ben, dude.
pre
Yeah,
Geely,
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
fucking
Prime
right. This was right
J Lo.
before Made in New York. Oh,
Yeah.
which one was it called? Made
Anyways,
in Manhattan.
yeah. Like I said, she set the screen
Yeah,
on fire. We
yeah.
couldn't take our eyes off of her. Then you had Ice Cube, who's just he's a badass.
He
It's
this
Ice
was that
Cube.
was like his start of his like
Yeah,
foray into movies. Damn.
yeah. Like he was, and he was great in that, and it was like something that we hadn't seen. Those kind of beginning of these, you've seen a creature feature like that before, but that was a little bit different. And then and I don't know, it kind of has its own like unique little place, in the. It's one of those where I think that might be one of those that you're talking about, where you remember it more fondly than probably like when
Yeah.
somebody else you show
No,
that to somebody else, they're like, "This is
I thought it
stupid,"
was
you
cool.
know.
I thought it was cool. I've
Thought it was a cool
rewatched
ass
it
movie.
since. I've rewatched it since. There was a binge where I went over a bunch of movies from that time. One
Yeah.
was fuck, I forgot the name. One was Anaconda. The other one was the one where the girl is like in Louisiana, and the old lady switches body with her, and that's how they keep staying young.
I'm
You
blanking right now.
remember? Ah, dude, it was like a weird possession movie, and it was voodoo and stuff. And I was like,
Mm,
damn, that's sick. That's so dope.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, there is, I think about a remake from my childhood that actually probably still stands to this day is probably maybe like The Parent Trap. They with
oh,
with the Lohan with
yeah,
Lindsay Lohan.
yeah. I
Like that
think
was
I think what was
that was
good
fun.
about that one was the writing was really well done. It was also the same as the old one. It wasn't like so far
The old one
fetched or
was good. The
changed.
old one was
The
good
other one
too.
was good too. Freaky Friday, I think, was another one that was like pretty good. It wasn't like fantastic, but it was also not bad,
She did a lot
thankfully.
of remakes, didn't she?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Herbie
I
the
mean,
Love
people
Bug,
forget. Yeah,
that was a
yeah,
remake. That one was
yeah,
pretty good.
yeah.
Maybe
I
those we're
mean,
looking at with like the the fondness glasses,
probably,
but
probably. No, I think
yeah.
Parent Trap is legitimately a good movie, but there's like I said, when it's bad, it's bad, but when it's good, it's like all right. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's
All
acceptable.
right,
We'll
not
allow
all
it.
of them. They can remake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But people forget Scarface. Is a
Oh,
remake.
it is a remake. Holy
There was like a
crap.
'30s movie or something like that.
Yeah, it was
And
a
then they
gangster
redid it
movie,
with the whole, and obviously that's a classic. To the so and Dune. Obviously we brought that up, and that's a recent one.
and
So
it's
it's like
still gonna go.
it's not like as if there's I think you just have to find the right criteria and the right
Uh,
type of scenario.
yeah, it has to be the director and the writers have to have like a true vision for what they
Yeah.
want, but I think it has to also be like it has to be a passion. They have to have
Yeah,
a passion
passionate
for the story,
vision, and
especially if it's a remake.
don't like sit there and think dollar bills. Like you look at it and you read the script and you sit there and go like, this is actually a pretty fucking good script. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Or you read it and you're just like, well, that's kind of
yeah. Well, I'm not gonna
We'll
do
make
it,
some money. You know
or
what I mean?
at least fucking if even if you're just looking at the dollars, be like, at least I'm gonna make it good.
Yeah.
Don't just
I
look
mean,
at the
but that's the
dollars.
tough part. Like I said, I think you have to have the scenario where it starts with the
It has
writer
to be
and
the
the
perfect
director
storm.
or whoever. Sometimes if it's the same person,
The
but
perfect storm.
you can't have these businesses and these business people, the ones looking at their lineup of movies that haven't been touched in a while, and they're like, oh, we can bring that back and remake it, that way we can add some more value to our streaming platform or whatever the heck, you know what I mean?
You
They're
you
not
know
That's why you're seeing it on streaming, I think, more than anything, because they're sitting there like, we're not exactly sure if this is even going to make money, so we're just going to go ahead and release it, and people, at least add value to our platform.
Yeah,
You know what
man.
I mean?
Fucking Netflix is doing that with a couple movies that I like Akira, and they're redoing One Piece. But I don't know. I kind of have faith for that one because of the studio and who's doing it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
They're being it for the
well,
right reasons. I think
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the
It
right.
has to be. That has to be the key. There can be
Yeah.
no other thing other than passion for it. Could you
It can't be
imagine if
money
they
based. It
remade
has to be
Heavyweights
like
today, bro?
ultimately. It starts with the script.
Could you imagine if they remade Heavyweights? I'd be so fucking pissed.
It would be a shitty movie. Like
Yeah, you're
it
never
wouldn't,
gonna
because
capture that. You're never
you're
gonna
never gonna.
capture that
First of
movie.
all, you can't do it the way that they did it because of the times. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I think you could get
it's kind of
away
like
with it, but it would have to be
yeah,
it's a very touchy subject,
yeah,
Like
it is, and
like
but
most of us
they
fat
kind of
backs
like
growing up
they went at
was
it with
about fat
no.
kids.
It's almost like they made that movie with no fucks given. You know what I mean? Like it,
Yeah,
and you got to do it that way, or else
but
it's
you
not
know
gonna
what
it's
though?
not gonna
It
hit.
it I don't know, dude. Here's where I kind of and I'm gonna go off such. It feels like that movie. The reason that it worked because it was no fucks given, and it was about making the kids feel good.
Yeah,
It
yeah, like
wasn't.
that. That's
It
why it
wasn't about
worked.
anything else. Yeah.
It could have still been a funny movie if they didn't kind of take it with that mindset. Go through it with that mindset, but it that's what kind of like wrapped it all up.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like nowadays, I think you might be able to make a version of that movie that has the kind of heart that that other one did, that the original one did, and maybe even better at it. You know, having like
Possibly.
a certain type of theme or whatever that hammers it home a lot more. But it definitely won't be as funny, dude. It's just not. It's like
Yeah.
if they were to try to make and I think they probably are eventually, but I don't ever see if they try to do a Rush Hour, what is it, 5 or
That
whatever the fuck it's
blindfolded
gonna be?
sit up scene wouldn't cut it today.
No. Oh
People,
hell no, they
parents would be
wouldn't do
like,
that.
"Why would you show kids that?"
Kiss my ass.
uh,
It's
all
classic. It's classic.
right. Well,
No, dude.
thank you guys again for joining us this week. It's been fun. We sat here. We chatted a little bit. Actually, a little bit longer than I thought. But let us know how you feel about remakes. Let us know. Maybe there's a remake you want to see. Maybe there's a remake that you're dreading. I said the Akira one, but it could be good. I'm gonna keep faith. We've had some good remakes. You said you brought a lot of them up, but
It's possible.
Anaconda. We'll just send it on Anaconda. You think it's gonna be good
Anaconda.
or it's gonna be bad?
Is J Lo coming back? That's all I give a shit about.
If J Lo comes back, do you think it's gonna be good
Yeah.
or it's gonna be bad?
I'm back. If J
You're
Lo's
back if
back, then
J Lo.
I'm
All
back.
right. We're waiting for J Lo, and we'll
Okay.
leave you with peace.